vast majority of agencies out there doing SEO don't know how to do local SEO. I think a lot of people out there are just approaching it like, well, this is just normal SEO, and then let's go do some stuff on the GBP. And they miss the local SEO flavor of all of the on-site stuff.
Do you think LLM optimization is a real thing agencies should invest in, or is it too early?
To tell clients, I can get you to show up in AI reliably is a lie. AI can't give you a strategy. AI is gonna tell you it's giving you a strategy, but it's not AI, it's word prediction. Clients don't hire you to get their business to rank. Clients pay for SEO to sell more of whatever it is that they're selling.
Welcome back to the Agency Insider Show. I'm your host Navneet Kaushal, and today's guest is someone who needs no introduction in the local SEO world, Greg Gifford. Greg is the Vice President at Search Labs, a long-time SEO practitioner, conference speaker, educator, and one of the most trusted voices when it comes to Google Business Profile and multi-local SEOs. What I personally love about Greg's work is that it's always grounded in real testing, and yes, I've been following some of those. No theory, no hypes, and just what actually works in the real world. Greg, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm actually the Chief Operating Officer now, not Vice President. So
my bad. I realized by the time. Yes, yeah, my team, right. Because I remember one of the segment I'm going to talk about that as well. Okay.
Yeah, like a lot of sites out there still have me as Vice President, so happens.
Okay, yeah, maybe. Okay, so let's start somewhere most people don't go. You have a BA in cinema and communications from SMU.
Yes.
Is that correct? Right. You originally wanted to make movies in Hollywood.
I did.
You even worked on Walker, Texas Ranger briefly.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
For like 2 days, and then I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this.
No, okay. Now, most people would see that as a complete career pivot, but I have a theory. So that film background is actually core to why you have become one of the most in-demand speaker in our industry.
You think so?
Yeah. Why I'm coming to that? Because the storytelling, the visual presentation, the understanding of pacing and audience engagement. Am I reading too much, or is there a direct thought line from film school to the moving guy of local SEO?
No, yeah, I think that's a really good catch. For sure, the storytelling aspect really plays into, and you've seen me present, the storytelling aspect really plays into what I do when I get up on stage, because, there's a lot of people, a lot of really good speakers that I've seen that share really in-depth, really helpful information, really amazing tips, but they just kind of stand there and they share their information, and that's what it is. And then I've seen other speakers that are amazing speakers. They're very dynamic. They're very entertaining on stage, and their talks don't really give you anything that you can use. Right. People love seeing those people because they're like SEO celebrities, but the information that they share isn't something that you can take home that will measurably change your job. It's more like an inspirational type of talk, right? And so when I started speaking, I was looking at that spectrum of like, all right, on this side of the spectrum is people that share just the most badass, amazing information, but it's almost like watching paint dry, like it's really boring to watch them, even though you're getting great info. And on the other side, you have these really dynamic, really entertaining people that could basically read a phone book and you're still entertained, but they're not really giving you tons of information that will help you be better at your job. So I wanted to split right down the middle and share really helpful, really insightful, really impactful information, but also be entertaining on stage. Especially, I think this is important when you do have the single track conferences like Chiang Mai, because at a multi-track event, people can go, oh, I want local SEO, and you're just going to pick the local SEO talks, or I want PPC, I'm going to pick the PPC talks. In a single track conference, everybody hears everything. And so there's going to be people in the room that don't care about local. And while I'm on stage talking about local, if I'm not entertaining, they zone out and they're checking email, or they're on Slack, or they're playing around, playing Pokemon Go for all we know, right? But if you're entertaining, even if people don't care about the information that you're sharing, they're still engaged and they're still like, wow, that was a really good talk. So that's kind of the direction I wanted to take things. And I think you're right. I think film school really played into that.
Right. Now I also, why the reason I'm asking is because there is a lesson here for agency owners. We spend so much time on technical skills, schema, markup, GBP optimization, citation management, but the agencies that scale are often the one that can tell a compelling story to clients. So when you are pitching at Search Lab services, how much of it is in a technical explanation versus narrative and storytelling?
Oh, geez, there's a whole lot of story to it. Like, my fingers are all over the slides that we share in these kind of demo talks. But
Okay.
first of all, we have, we call it the matrix. It's like a really small but very specific local SEO audit that we run on every lead before we get on a phone call with them. Because I
Okay.
feel like a lot of times agencies that are pitching potential clients just have the same generic pitch that they're like, we're awesome. We won a bunch of awards. You should work with us because our clients love us. And we'll do on page, off page, GBP and reviews. Boom, there you go. And they do the same thing for everybody. So now, because we've done this audit before the call, that's more than just like, hey, we're going to look at the homepage, but like we're looking through the site and looking at off page and looking at GBP. So now we do have some generic slides that are here's the things that we do for you. But a significant portion of that presentation is, here are the things that we found wrong with your site. Here's why they're wrong and why they're hurting you. And here are the things that we would do to fix those. So it's much more of a story that's specifically catered to the person we're talking to, as opposed to we're trying to do something so high level and generic that it applies to everybody.
So that's what the lesson is. Don't be generic. Don't just talk data. Build it around a story, right?
Yeah.
That's what I would always recommend to an agency owner. That's what I even tell to my team who sits right behind me. So yes. So right now, so let's talk about our next segment, which is the automotive years in pattern recognition. So you spent 8 years deep in automotive SEO, right?
Yes.
At Autorevo, then Dealer On. So that's not just doing local SEO. That's I mean, it's a local SEO for one of the most competitive and high stakes vertical, because you know how close these are.
Oh,
so
yeah.
now, so I just want to understand, when you are doing a 1,500 dealership website audit, you start seeing pattern that people doing one-off client work or maybe more would never see. So what were 2 or 3 counterintuitive patterns you discovered that changed how you think about local SEO?
You know, honestly, nothing in there changed how I think about local SEO, other than realizing that the vast majority of agencies out there doing SEO don't know how to do local SEO.
Right.
And I think the kind of disconnect is, for sure, on the client side, people think that local SEO is, well, we're doing regular SEO stuff, and then we just also add in the Google Business Profile. And they don't realize that it's a different way of doing content. It's a different optimization, tactics on page, different kind of link building. They don't realize that reviews play into it. So I think a lot of people out there are just approaching it like, well, this is just normal SEO, and then let's go do some stuff on the GBP. And they miss the local SEO flavor of all of the on-site stuff. They miss the local SEO flavor of link building, and they don't include anything with reviews or reputation management. So it's not really that I learned anything, other than a lot of agencies out there selling SEO are not very good at SEO.
Okay, because one thing, at Page Traffic, we work with automotive clients across multiple countries, and I have noticed the competitive dynamics are different based in the different markets. For example, compared to India, the US, the dealership model is structured differently, and of course, local search behavior reflects that. So did your automotive experience teach you anything about how local SEO principles do or don't translate across different business models?
Yeah, it's not really that things don't translate. It's that some elements are more effective in certain verticals than they are in other.
Right.
It's not that things don't work at all. They just work differently from one vertical to another. And, famously, personal injury attorneys in North America are pretty much the most aggressive, most competitive with local SEO. And so there are things that you could do for attorneys that wouldn't really move the needle for attorneys, but you could do similar things for like car dealerships or restaurants or bars, and it's an overnight success factor, So it's really the thing that I think a lot of people in the industry, both in local SEO and even outside of local SEO, especially earlier in their career, don't realize that every vertical is not the same. Google literally treats verticals differently. So
Right.
the algorithm will be tweaked slightly for certain verticals. So some factors have more weight, have more value than they do for others. It doesn't mean it doesn't work for another vertical. It just means that individual factor has a little more weight in certain verticals. Like the photos in a GBP matter a lot more for restaurants and bars than they do for like attorneys
Right.
or for doctors. So it's, it helps that, the 8 years I spent at Autorevo and the 4 years I spent at Dealeron was 12 years straight of just doing car dealerships. It helps to really specialize in one particular vertical and really get to understand all of the idiosyncratic things that really matter specifically to that, or things that other people are like, oh my gosh, this is the silver bullet that's going to matter for local SEO. And then you try it and it doesn't do anything for you. I think the people out there that early in their career just work on every vertical that they come across miss that subtlety.
Right. So do you work in your agency, work across multiple verticals?
Yeah, we
or...
do. At this point at Search Lab, we do local SEO. So anyone that needs local SEO, we do it. And that's from individual small mom and pop businesses to big multi-location single website businesses. We kind of run the whole gamut. Once you have had enough experience in local SEO to figure out these things that are different per vertical,
Right.
the overarching things like like the way you write content, the way you optimize content, the way you link build, all of that holds true. It's not like you write a completely different type of content and optimize completely differently from one vertical to another. Obviously, there's the difference in information, but everything pretty much holds true. It's just knowing which things you need to concentrate on because they're more valuable for that vertical.
Right. Now let's talk about your Search Lab transition. In the late 2019, you moved from the vendor side dealer on Wikimotive to Search Lab, which was at that time and still a boutique agency model. And then in January 2023, you became the CEO, right?
Yeah.
Now, for agency owners listening, that's a significant strategic shift. You went from being the search guy to running operations for an entire agency. What surprised you most about this transition?
I mean, realistically, I've been the COO type of role for a long time now, even before Search Lab. It's just my title was vice president of search, but like, the 4 years that I was at Dealeron are a great example. The 4 years at Dealeron, we had the whole company was based in Maryland, but I didn't want to move to Maryland. So when I started there, I was hired to build out an SEO team because I wanted to start selling SEO as a service. And so I built that SEO team out in Dallas because that's where I lived. So the whole SEO team was in Dallas. The whole rest of the company was in Maryland. I was pretty autonomous. Like, sure, I still had to report to the owner of the company, but I was pretty much able to run the SEO team as I saw fit. And initially, I was the guy hands on keyboard doing the work because I was the only guy. But then pretty quickly, we started hiring people. And by like probably the third or fourth hire, I was not hands on keyboard doing client work anymore. And I was kind of managing the team. And that team grew to probably 20 people by the time I left. And at that point, I was just doing all operational stuff. And then when I came, and even before that at Autorevo, at the point that I left Autorevo again, I was just running the operational side of the search team, not actually doing client work. So it wasn't a huge shift. because I'd already been doing those things. And for me, it was more my brain, the way my brain is wired, it tickles my brain to do the operational efficiency stuff much more than it does to do SEO. I just enjoy it more. It's kind of like my brain was designed to do this specific thing. We use a tool called Culture Index.
Okay.
It's very similar to like a Myers-Briggs type of test, except it's a lot more scientific and it's been proven to be more accurate. And so we run that on everybody that works here. So we know how your brain is wired and how you like to communicate and what your social battery is and things like that. And so there's, I forget the number, but it's like 26 or 30 personality patterns of the way your brain is wired. And the pattern that I have, only 2% of people have, and it is the perfect pattern for a COO role. So it makes sense that I would gravitate more towards that kind of a role as opposed to just doing SEO. So yeah, it's I think an element that a lot of agency owners miss out on. They don't think about having a COO or a director level operational person to look at operational efficiency. And you're just like, oh, I know how to do SEO. We have all these people doing SEO. And a lot of times the agency owner is the one doing the sales calls. Maybe the more advanced agencies that are a little bit bigger might have a sales team, but you typically don't have someone in this operational role. And it really makes a difference when you're really dialing it in and being efficient with your time and your team's time. It's like, you know, we were talking before we started recording about how, you know, some agencies will white label and outsource, and how, you know, overseas salaries are cheaper than North American salaries. So you can make up some margin that way. Another way to make up margin is to just really pay attention to what your team is doing. And I'm not saying like, you know, lead with a whip crack and make everybody like work. But it's like, where are we spending our time? What can, especially nowadays, what can we automate with AI to shorten the timeline of what we have to spend? Because that means we can either do something quicker and more efficiently, which gives us more time to dedicate to that client to achieve a better outcome. Or if we're still able to achieve the same level of great outcomes we've been achieving, but spend less time, then that means we can add more clients to our roster without hiring more headcount, which increases your margin again. So it's funny that now in my career, one of my favorite days of the month is when accounting gets the P&L done and I can dig through the P&L and see, did we match up to what our projections were for the month, or did we overspend in an area, or did we undercommit somewhere else? Like it's super nerdy and spreadsheety, and I never really thought I would be here, but I love it.
I have given Myers test, but I haven't given cultural index. So I will try it this week.
It's a cool one.
Yeah, I just want to know how my brain is weird. I'm pretty sure it's not the normal one. So
yeah, I think pretty much all of us in SEO don't really have a quote unquote normal brain.
Right. Now, so how is your team structured right now?
So right now we're still a boutique agency. So when I came in, I kind of part of the reason they wanted me to come in was to tear everything down, start everything, you know, process and everything from the ground up, build it up. And we purposefully did a boutique setup, which is the kind of jack of all trades approach. So if we have a consultant working on a client, that consultant does everything for the client: the content, the optimization, the technical SEO, the link building, the GBP stuff, the reputation management stuff, all of the above. And there are certain advantages to that. It's very easy resourcing wise to keep your team at a utilization level where you're profitable and you don't have people just hanging out doing nothing. The harder part is, as you continue to scale up, you're going to tend to gravitate towards bigger clients. And the bigger clients don't necessarily care. You know, the smaller clients appreciate the fact that I'm not talking to a random account manager that their job is just to talk to a bunch of clients and doesn't know how to do the stuff, and you can't have advanced conversations. They appreciate one person's doing everything for me and I get to talk directly to that person. And it's great. And it's also a differentiator in sales when we have those conversations. But you get to the point where the bigger companies don't really care that one person does it all.
Right.
And I feel like we could, you know, our team is really good. Our team gets great results. I mean, we won a couple of different awards this year, but I think we can level up even further if we specialize. So in 2026, in the first quarter of 2026, we're going to be adjusting and switching to the traditional agency model where we'll have a team of content people, a team of on-site, a team of link builders. We'll have a team of analytics people. And then we'll have, I wouldn't call it an account manager. We're calling it a customer success manager, but it's that account manager type of role, except I think the thing that a lot of agencies do wrong is they just hire a friendly person to be on the phone that doesn't really understand all the stuff. And our account managers are going to be the ones actually driving the strategy for each account. So that one person is driving strategy and then just delegating. All right, I need you to go do this with content. I need you to do this with tech. I need you to do this with their Google ad account and this with their Facebook ad account or whatever. And so we're going to be making that change as we continue to move up market and get bigger clients. I think that will be the right move for us. Our team's really excited too. I think resourcing we'll have to pay a little bit more attention to because, let's look at like a link building team. You have a link building team to handle the amount of work that you need. Well, once that team is at capacity or near capacity, you have to hire another person to go on that link building team. So let's say, to make the math easy, you would never do it this way, but let's say you don't hire a new person until the 2 people on the team are completely full and have no more hours left to give. Okay. Then you hire the new person. And now that's 2 people's work divided between 3 people, which means you are now, each person is basically only 2/3 capacity. So 1/3 capacity of just open time with no client work to do, which is not as efficient as having one person do everything. When that person is effectively full, you hire another and then that person can get filled up. And then that, you end up with teams of people that are not fully utilized. So it's a little bit of a trade-off, but I think it's the right move to make in the long run for sure.
So I run an agency with 120 people. So of course the scale is large, but I have, just like you said, traditional people. I have people who just do local SEO, people who just do outreach, people who just do on page. And I have people who recently I automated all my on-page work. So the content and the metas and everything, we built a software. So it does that. Right. The GBP optimization is done by us, but the initial analysis is all done by machines. So of course, the person, for me, the only way I have been able to optimize the resources is by introducing AI. So previously, if a person was able to review 4 of the campaigns, it could do 8, 10, because now data is presented to it. So that's the only optimization I've done. But as you said, the only problem which I face is, let's say I have 2 outreach guys and a third one. That guy is very difficult to find because there are less people who are operating at that level at a specialization.
Yeah.
So I have a guy who just joins in and he says, I want to do on page. I say, I don't even have an on page team. I don't even have a guy who just writes meta. It's all automated. It's 2025. We don't do metas anymore.
Right.
So that becomes a challenge. But yeah, I agree with most of it. Analytic is one big part which we have a separate team. So yeah, it helps a lot. I think you will find slightly different challenges, but as I can feel you are a quite guy to the details, so you will love them.
Oh yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun navigating the change management of switching from one operational system to another.
Right.
Could there be lots of problems? Sure. Will there be problems? I'm sure likely there's going to be some bumps in the road, but that's the fun stuff for me, is to figure these things out as they happen.
Yeah, so that's gonna be I'm sure you will love it. I can see it right now on your face that yes, you are looking forward to this.
I'm very much so looking forward to it.
Yes. Now let's talk to our another segment, which is the 3-dimensional framework. So you made a 3-dimensional framework, which a 3 dimensions of local search framework, which you said is website, Google Business Profile, reviews, which of course I've seen it referenced in a lot of training materials across the industry. So here's my challenge. Everyone knows the framework now. It's table stakes. When you presented it at SEO Week 2025 with the 3D glasses, that was a brilliant theater, by the way, of course. But what were you trying to convey beyond the basic framework?
Nothing. I was just trying to do so. Honestly, the whole thing with the 3D concept, I actually did a similar, nowhere near as refined thing, probably geez, at this point, I mean, it was probably 10 to 12 years ago that I did a 3D themed, because all of my presentations are a movie theme. And so 10 to 12 years ago, I did another one that was all 3D films. But I did the 3D glasses with the 3D movie trailer intro then, and I just never did it again. And when Mike was putting SEO Week together, I was having multiple conversations. Mike and I run into each other a lot on the road at conferences. And so he had several conversations with me about his ideas and what he was doing. And then he was messaging me about, bro, you got to check out the projection mapping in this room. I bet you can do something really cool with it. And he told every speaker, I want this to be the best speech you've ever done. Well, my brain immediately goes to, what can I do from a storytelling aspect in this unique room? And so I'm messaging his team, and he's like, I don't know. We're going to have to go talk to the technical team at the venue. And I just basically was like thinking of cool things that I could do with the projection mapping of the screens. And then I remembered I had done that 3D movie trailer intro. And I was like, it's not going to be a ton of people. I could buy the 3D glasses. We could do the 3D movie trailer intro again, and I could just do the 3 dimensions of local search, do 3D movies. And it was really more than anything based on, I think I can pull this off and do the really cool 3D intro. And then I had the whole bit where recordings of me would come out on the screen and I would have conversations with myself. And that was kind of where I was like, what's the extra cool little oomph that I can add that will just make this unlike any other presentation before? And it was all about the storytelling. It had nothing to do with the actual tactics in the presentation.
Okay. So, but there were, of course, 3 dimensions, which are website, Google Business Profile, and reviews, right?
Right.
So when I was presenting in Chiang Mai and my talk was local SEO automation, one of my key points was that the 3 dimensions are almost automated to a certain, or let's say a significant degree. So of course, AI can generate localized content, tools can monitor GBP changes, review, management platforms can automate responses. So my question is, so if the execution of your 3 dimension can be increasingly automated, where does human expertise actually add values, and where should agency focus their non-automated efforts on?
Oh, 100%. The human side is the actual strategy, because AI can't give you a strategy. AI is going to tell you it's giving you a strategy, but it doesn't. The vast majority of the public thinks that AI is AI. It's not AI. It's word prediction. So it's going to give you a strategy based off of other strategies that it's read on other websites out there, but that doesn't mean it's the right strategy for that client in that market. So the human element is still the thinking brain of, all right, I can automate a lot of the analysis that I'm running, but then when I've got the data from the analysis of my client site versus the competitors, knowing what to do and what to prioritize is still a human activity. You can automate a lot. If you're going to use AI to write content, you still have to have humans edit that content if you want that content to perform. The actual on-page things, you can have, at this point, have AI write your meta descriptions. Who cares? I would not just say, AI, go write me a title tag and an H1 for this page. I might say, AI, give me 5 options for a title tag and an H1. And then I either choose one or I take pieces that I like and put those together. So it saves me the time of brainstorming options, but I would not just turn the AI loose and go, just optimize this page for me. So you still need the human brain making the decisions for what's right. I think that review responses can be automated to a degree. I think it's a really bad idea to automate responses to negative reviews, though. I still think humans should be doing the negative review responses, but for positive reviews, like, why would you have a human waste of time to go in and say, hey, thanks for the great review, Steve? Like AI can do that pretty easily.
Okay. So what's your take on automation? Because we build a lot of automations on N8, now I have a Python software running. So what's your take on automation? Are you a guy who still prefers, except the strategy part, everything should be automated?
Oh yeah. I mean, I have a team of guys working on automating things for the future right now. Like what else can we automate? Figuring out what things can we do to take the burden of mundane, repetitive tasks that we have to do over and over again. Do we really need to spend our time doing that? Again, it comes back to, if I can automate something, that reduces the amount of time that my humans have to spend doing those things,
Right.
which either A, gives them more time to continue to do the human level stuff on that client, or B, gives us time to still give the same level of amazing results and just get more clients on the same headcount. So it would be a silly business decision not to try to automate the things that can be automated.
So that's the line which I use in my office. Anything which should be automated should be automated.
Yes.
Anything which is repeatable for me should be automated.
Yeah.
Human being should not be doing a repeatable task. So we do a lot of automations now. Now let's talk about the GPP dimension. So we've seen a significant changes in 2025, which I don't think many agencies talks about. First, the statistics overall, after June, the Google stopped showing queries with fewer than 100 impressions, right? So a massive data gap for local businesses. So how have you guys adopted your reporting and client communications to address something like this?
We don't talk about ranking or impression stuff with clients anyway. We just talk about KPIs of this is what actually happened on your site. So
Okay.
It didn't really honestly affect anything that we do. The other side of it is all of the stuff that you get within GBP insights is kind of garbage data anyway. So we don't really put a lot of stock into it other than as a high level view. Obviously, if it's telling you you're getting more and more click-throughs and directions, okay, well, that's a positive directional move. Does it really mean we're significantly getting a lot more directions clicks? No. The other thing, like impressions, a lot of people are like, whoa, my impressions are crazy all of a sudden. Well, maybe it's because a new McDonald's opened up a half a block away and people are navigating to McDonald's. And if you show up on the map when somebody's going to McDonald's, that counts as an impression for you. It doesn't mean it was an active, intentional search for either your brand or generic searches for the things you sell. It could be people doing directions to next door. So I think a lot of that data is not the most reliable data to say, hey, this is a KPI that matters. So we just don't really use it that much. Like we use it again at a high level, but it's not something we're sharing with clients. So we didn't really have to adjust anything.
Okay. So it's mainly the KPI. I'm sure the mainly KPI is how much calls you are getting or how much.
Like it's to a degree, it's still traffic to your website. If you're getting traffic and traffic's going up, that's a direction that matters. What really matters is conversions, like phone calls, chats, emails, form fills, like the customer expressing interest in buying your product or service. That is ultimately what matters. I've kind of crapped all over ranking reports for a very long time because they've not been reliable data that matches to the real world. And a lot of agencies share ranking reports as a monthly report. And clients don't hire you to get their business to rank. That's a side effect or an ancillary thing that happens. Clients pay for SEO and for PPC to sell more of whatever it is that they're selling. They want to do something to increase the inbound lead volume, which should also increase conversions, which results in more sales. Their ultimate goal is more sales. So showing them a ranking report doesn't at all tie into their ultimate goal. So we just have never shared it.
So are you a fan of grid rankings or no?
For an SEO team to look at internally, yes. For clients to look at, no.
Okay.
Clients do not have not all clients. There are some clients that are very advanced and understand this stuff, but the vast majority of clients do not have the understanding of what this data is telling them. And it becomes this vanity of, I want to rank for this certain keyword in as wide a radius as possible. And it's likely not even going to be a keyword that's going to give them conversions. The stuff that's conversion driving isn't as sexy as the head term that's one or two words long that if you rank well for that, you just assume you're the best and you're going to get all the business. It never works that way. And that's what clients always end up concentrating on. And you may have tripled their business in the last year, but that client becomes upset on that monthly reporting call because all they look at is that one term or two terms that they care about. And they see that that grid still has some red on it. And why can't we crack the red in that area? And they're like, bro, who cares? you're selling twice as much stuff now as you were a year ago, and that's 100% attributed to our work. And they're like,
Right.
I don't care. I'm spending all this money. I should rank number one everywhere in town for this term. It becomes this just hamster wheel of you're defending your work that you shouldn't have to be defending because it's clearly working, because the client just cares about a vanity phrase. It's just a road that we just don't want to go down.
That actually makes sense. I would say, yes, as you said, some of the clients actually get finicky about those red marks. So they just want everything green. So yes.
Yeah.
Now, second change, the re-verification process. Now, Google at times is re-verifying businesses 1 or 2 months after initial verification. We have seen clients
Or
get
years.
caught. Yes, but it has increased, which you call as a 60 minutes time of doom, right? So how does this thing? So how do you prepare client for this? And what is there a recovery book you have if something really goes wrong with this?
Yeah, I've got a video in my series that walks through 2 different videos, actually. There's one video in my weekly series that talks about what you should include in a verification video. And then there's another one that's kind of a guide of, if you get suspended, here's all the documentation you need to get together for the suspension recovery process. But yeah, Google really drastically changed the suspension recovery process this year. And now when you get suspended, you get a vague reason in an email and a button to request reassessment. When you click that button, it starts a 60-minute timer. And I'm the one that calls it the timer of doom. Google doesn't call it that, obviously. But yeah, it starts a 60-minute timer that you have 60 minutes to get all your documentation together to send to Google. I'm not sure why they would have that timer, probably likely to make it harder for people to cheat things. But the general public doesn't know that they need 2 pieces of documentation or photos or a video. And for the smaller businesses that are owner run, you might get that email and click the button and go, oh, well, now I have to get some of this stuff together. And then a customer walks in and you go help that customer, and then another customer. And you don't realize that that timer is running. And now all of a sudden the timer expires and you just lost one of your chances to get reinstated. That's really unfortunate. So for us, we just try to really educate all of our clients and say, look, there's no rhyme or reason to the ways that Google are choosing which businesses to either re-verify. Because if you're lucky, it's just a re-verification. Most businesses, you're getting a full-on suspension and you have to get out of the suspension, and that usually also involves re-verification. We just try to educate all of our clients, say, look, if this happens, don't click anything, call us first. Because then our team knows exactly what to tell them to have together, and we'll even be on the phone with them to walk them through what the process is while they're doing it, because you really only get 2 chances, and technically you can get more. But as far as the general public is concerned, you get 2 chances and that's it. You don't want to blow one of your chances just because you let the timer expire before you even submitted your stuff. Another big problem is a lot of people will think, oh, I can just send in a photo of my business card, and they send that in as their documentation. And that's not what's required. Like, you need official government documentation because anybody can go print a business card out on a printer, right? So it's a lot of client education more than anything else.
So just a real case which happened was when we moved our office. So Google requested a video verification. And when a video verification, now my office is on the 6th floor. So now Google says you have to go to the street, from the street, walk in and move to your office, show yourself entering it. Now there is no way I'm walking 6th floor. So when the moment I go into the elevators, boom, there is no internet. And then the verification fails. So we had a hard time doing it. So what do you suggest when something like this has to be done?
So technically, even though Google says you need to do that, you don't really need to do that. So the reason Google says you need to show the street is because in that verification video, you need proof of location, and showing the street sign proves that you're located where you're located. But you could also show a business that's across the street, because Google knows where that business is located if that business is a verified business. So you could be on the 6th floor and say, hey, look, to prove my location, I am looking through the window at the restaurant across the street. And you know where that restaurant is. This is the street. The restaurant is on that street. That is my proof of location. And that would be perfectly sufficient. So yeah, whenever we have customers or clients in high-rise buildings, we always have them do something like that to say, hey, look, here is the building. This is proof. Because you're right. Most of the time you go get on that elevator, you lose internet signal, and then the live video call gets dropped. Sometimes you can do a pre-recorded video and then you're okay. But even still, you want that video really to be less than 2.5 minutes. And we aim for the video to be 2 minutes or less. That's really hard to do if you're out in the street, walking into the building, hitting the button, waiting for the elevator, riding the elevator up, and then doing all the other things you need to do will likely be longer than 2 minutes. So a lot of times you just have to start on the floor and shoot out the window to prove location instead.
Now, another example, my whole office is automated. So we all work on an access card system. So there is no key. So now if Google wants to open the key, there is no key.
But an access card, swiping the access card to open the door or holding it up to open the door is the same thing as using a key. So that works as well.
So, but then it just seems like any employee can do. It doesn't show I am the boss or I am the owner.
You don't have to be the owner of the business to verify a business, though. You can be a manager profile. All Google needs to know is proof of location and proof that you should have the ability to edit the details of that business. It could literally be any employee. It doesn't have to be only the owner, that one person has the key. It's if this door is locked for the general public and you have a card that lets you in the door, that's all they need to see.
Right, because I seen a couple of businesses across my office got rejected despite doing all of this as well. It becomes stuff they just gave up because it doesn't work.
They probably were rejected for other reasons. One of the secret-ish, not really secret because I'm allowed to talk about it, but it's not listed in their documentation. You're not supposed to have other people's faces in the video. So if you are, let's say you were out in the street and you recorded a street sign, and then you turn around and you're walking through the lobby of the building to get to the elevator, and there's 5 or 6 people that are in your video and you've got their face in the video, you automatically fail because you can't have other people in the video. Or faces. You can have bodies, but you can't have faces. So it could have failed for that. Another of the requirements is you have to show your permanent signage, which means you have a sign and you have to take your camera and point it at the sign. Well, a lot of times people will take their camera and they'll go, oh, here's my sign, and then just keep going. And they don't pause, and you can't actually see the sign because it's just blurry because you're just kind of doing this across your sign. You'll fail for that too. And Google's not going to tell you failed because we couldn't identify your permanent signage. They're just going to say, oh, you failed. And then you're up to figuring out, well, why did I fail on my own? And you don't really know. It could have been there were faces or people in there. It could have been that you didn't clearly show your sign. It could have been that when you showed yourself unlocking the door, maybe the door was already unlocked and you didn't realize it, and you do it and they could see that you turn the key and go, oh, and then open it, and it looks like maybe you were faking it. Like there could be a lot of different, very subtle things that cause the fail, not necessarily the fact that you're just using the swiper with the key to get in.
Right. Now the WhatsApp integration is replacing business chat. So of course, an AI menu generation is now available. So from an agency operation perspective, how do you decide which new GBP feature to prioritize for clients versus which one to ignore?
I mean, like with the restaurant thing, sure, you can do the AI generation stuff, but you can also just send the feed that says, here's what my menu is. It's super easy. The menu side, not a big deal. The WhatsApp or phone texting, because like outside of North America, people don't really, or inside North America, people don't really use WhatsApp. That's really not a North American thing. So businesses will just put in a textable phone number, whereas outside of North America, everybody's going to use WhatsApp. Am I going to use that on every client? No. Like the clients I'm going to use it on are like the clients that the customers would have a need for that sort of interaction. But like my car dealer clients, customers are not going to text the dealership off of the GBP. They're going to text the dealership or chat with the dealership off of the dealership website. So I just don't need to put it on the GBP. Now I've got some clients that want to put a textable thing there anyway. But if you go look at the data, and like we like to make all of our decisions based off of data, right? Sure, you might hypothesize and try something first, but then once you start getting data, you can decide, hey, is this effective or not? You look at the data and it's like 1% of the chats come from the GBP, and they're all things that people would have been able to ask anyway if they'd have just gone and chatted on the website. Then I don't need to worry about adding chat there. But if I've got a client that doesn't have chat on their website for whatever reason, then maybe it makes a lot of sense to put chat on the GBP, because then people can do outreach. Certain businesses too, people don't need to go to your, if it's a restaurant and they know your menu, they don't need to go to your website. So yeah, put it there, because they would have a reason to do that. Don't make the customer go to your website just to be able to ask you a question if it's a type of business model where they don't really need to go to your website before they come to see you.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the review dimension, which is, of course, the third advanced strategy. Reviews, and this is an area which we have seen significant evolution in this year. Google now allows reviewers nickname, anonymous reviewers, of course, launched recently. Now, there's a new extortion scam reporting form that actually seems to work, and we are seeing fake negative reviews campaign becoming more aggressive as a competitive tactics. So you have talked about the ideal review score being 4.3 to 4.7. That's a perfect 5 look suspicious. But I'm curious about something you haven't addressed more, that the review sentimental analysis questions. With AI increasingly processing review content, not just star ratings, how should agencies think about coaching clients on the language and keywords in their review requests?
That's an excellent question. So we always suggest, and we tell people to do this, but like we do it for our own clients, obviously. We set up a leave us a review page, typically under the About Us submenu or the Contact Us submenu, because we want an easy page at a simple URL. Usually it's domain.com/reviews that everyone in the company understands and can remember easily and tell clients to go to. And then you can also have QR codes printed on stickers to put on the door, or printed on the receipts, or whatever. You can hand out branded 4x6 postcards to, when you do the review ask, here's where you go, because you don't want to send them directly to Google, because you want to have diverse reviews, especially now with AI looking at other sites outside of Google. You want to have review diversification, but you do want to care about the sentiment and the things that people write in the reviews. So in the past, that page would just have some simple thank you message like, thanks for doing business with us. Please share your experience with someone or with future customers on one of the following sites. And you give them a list of review sites so that they can go where they choose to go to. But now we add a little bit that says, hey, if you're not sure what to write, the best reviews offer advice to future customers or tips for future customers. Here are a few questions you could consider while you're writing your review. And then you ask 2 or 3 questions. Because subliminally, if they've read that before they click it, they're going to be thinking about those questions as they write it. Even if they already knew what they were going to write, they're still going to think. And it's almost like a Jedi mind trick. You kind of subliminally trick people. I don't want to say trick. You subliminally guide people to include certain phrases in their reviews, so that then those phrases continue to pop up in your reviews, which potentially gets you review justifications that could show in the map pack or on your Google Business Profile. And also, as AI starts to really become more prevalent and be checking what's written in your reviews, the AI is pulling out all of this user-generated content with the same language that you want to be there. So you can't really directly tell people what to write, but the Jedi mind trick is really effective.
So you also talked about burying bad reviews by encouraging detailed positive reviews with photos and upvotes, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, of course, that's a legitimate tactic, but where's the ethical line? I've seen agencies use review management in a way that feels manipulative, just like pushing too much. How do you think about the ethics of a review strategy?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've definitely seen some very unethical stuff out there. There are a lot of vendors that sell just fake reviews, which is against Google's guidelines, but a lot of people don't really care. Right. In North America, you're much more likely to get caught for it than you are outside North America. But it doesn't mean, hey, go do it if you're not in the US or Canada. Like, doing it at all, if you get caught by Google, Google plops a big warning on your GBP that says suspected review fraud has happened or suspicious review activity has happened. This business cannot get reviews right now, and you'll be locked from getting any new customer reviews for a period of time. But once you get that warning, no one will ever trust your reviews ever again, because Google doesn't say what sort of suspicious activity happened. Google just says suspicious activity happened, which immediately makes everyone not trust you.
Right.
More importantly, for anyone in the United States, it is a federal crime to post fake reviews on any sort of review website. And if you get caught for it, you get sued by the federal government for hundreds of thousands up to millions of dollars of fines. So for sure, don't do the shady stuff. I think the shady stuff arises from there is a significant portion of businesses out there that they just want the silver bullet. Just do the one thing that's going to make a difference
Right.
to rank number one.
Right.
Does that stuff work? Sure. You can do some silver bullet type black hat stuff to get a business to rank number one. Does the business really deserve to rank at that point? No. Like, sure, it's ranking because you're gaming the algorithm, but that doesn't mean that that business is the number one business in the area. That doesn't mean that they're better at customer service. It doesn't mean they have better answers on their website. It doesn't mean they have better reviews. You're just doing some hacky thing to get them to show up. It's not going to help conversions in the long run. That's going to help the people that care about the vanity terms that they want to rank for. It's not going to help for the people that really want to grow their business. Versus, yeah, if you do the hard work and do all of the things to be a real marketer, then the business will rank eventually. It won't rank as quickly, but it's still going to end up ranking in the long run. And once it ranks, then it's going to do more business because it's ranking for the right reasons instead of the wrong reasons.
Okay. Now, so you recently did a study about the personal injury attorney study.
Yep.
Which is, which of course it's been recently done. Now, what you are calling it the largest SEO study ever done for the personal injury attorney.
Yeah, actually, so we did, it's in three parts. So the first part is auto dealers. The second part is personal injury attorney. The third part is cannabis dispensaries, and that part gets released in January. So we did car dealerships because that's our primary vertical where we have the most clients. We did personal injury attorneys because they are the most advanced with local SEO strategies of any vertical. And then we did cannabis dispensaries because we have quite a few cannabis dispensary clients and they can't do any sort of digital advertising.
Right.
So they are only able to do SEO. And it's a fairly new vertical. So it lets us compare our primary vertical to the most advanced vertical to a pretty nascent vertical that can only do SEO. And it helps us see what, like we were talking about earlier, certain things are more effective in verticals than they are in others.
Right.
It lets us uncover some of that. It lets us see the differences, but it also lets us get really in-depth information for those three verticals because we work a lot with those three verticals. Like that's probably 90 to 95% of our business is those three verticals. So there's some personal interest for ourselves to like, let's really dig in and see what's really working in these verticals at a large scale. There's also the sales and marketing side of now we can publish the fact that we've done these massive studies that no one else has done. And then the educational side to share with other marketers to say, look, everybody always says things work differently in different verticals. Well, we've proven that things work differently in different verticals. So hopefully it sparks some other ideas for marketers to go do their own testing and figure out similar things themselves.
So of course, we both know legal is fascinating vertical and of course a very high value vertical as well.
Sure.
Now, so what were the headline findings and what are personal injury law firms getting wrong at scale as per your study?
Oh, geez. One of the things, I wouldn't necessarily say they're getting it wrong, but one of the things that we saw that was interesting compared to last year when we ran the same study was most personal injury attorneys are now marked as being open 24 hours a day,
Right.
which they're clearly not. They're open from 9 to 5 or 9 to 6. But Joy Hawkins did the research to find out like a little over a year ago, probably, that Google updated the algorithm. And now if you are searching in off hours, let's say I'm looking for a personal injury attorney at 10 o'clock at night. And previously they would probably have been marked as closed, but maybe one guy in town would say that he's open 24/7 because he's got a call answering service. All of a sudden, that guy ranks number one at night when he didn't rank number one during the day. Well, Google did that intentionally. It makes sense. If I'm looking for a particular business in the middle of the night and someone is open when everyone else is closed, of course I should see that guy listed first. So Joy talked about that. The problem is the general public didn't get the subtlety of this only matters if you're the only guy or one of the few only people open at night when people are conducting that search. It has been bastardized into this idea of if you list that you are open 24/7, you rank better all the time, which it wouldn't during the standard 9 to 5 time, whether you say you're open 9 to 5 or open 24/7, that doesn't matter at all. It's all the other factors that matter. It's only going to matter at night if you're open when everyone else is closed. But now that all of the attorneys say that they're open 24/7, it's now no longer a factor that makes any difference for anybody because everybody's the same. So the only thing it really did is the one guy that used to be open that would rank number one at night doesn't rank number one at night anymore. But for the people that already ranked in the top 3, they're going to rank in the top 3 at night now, just like they did during the day. So like, I thought that was an interesting thing. The review counts are significantly lower. Like the average number of reviews for personal injury attorneys is like 320 something reviews. Okay. The average number for car dealers is 2,300 and something reviews. So like 10 times, almost 10 times as many reviews for car dealers. Across the board, we also saw it very interesting that people are very aggressive about optimizing the H1 heading on the homepage, but they don't optimize the title tag for local. Like they don't include a location key phrase, but it would be the targeted keyword phrase and the city phrase are in the H1 90+% of the time, but the title tag usually doesn't include both and almost never includes the city. And it's just like, you see this gap of optimization of like, clearly they want this page to be optimized for personal injury lawyer Dallas.
Right.
Yet they don't put Dallas in the meta description or the title tag. And Dallas only appears in the content maybe one time, but then they optimize the H1 for that. So it's like they think the H1 is a silver bullet. They really go hard for that. Gosh, I'd have to pull this up. I don't remember all the stuff off the top of my head of like,
sure, take your time.
Really key stuff, but like with the attorney stuff.
And I would love to post all of this in my show notes, so I'll get all these links.
I can send you links for sure.
Yes.
Let's see, what were some of the other big ones with the attorney one. So part of this was we looked at everything in position 1 through 20 in the map pack.
Okay.
And then we took averages for everyone. So we have an industry average for each vertical, but then we also compared the people that rank number 1 to the people that rank number 10 to see if all of the things that we all agree are local SEO best practice, if they really are local SEO best practice and really are an influential factor, you would assume the guys at position 1 are doing it better or getting more reviews or whatever than the guys at position 10. And reviews, clear winner. The guys at position 1 had 40% more reviews than the guys at position 10. Position 1 guys had like 20 to 25% more websites linking to them than the guys at position 10. About 50% of attorneys don't have UTM tracking on the website button on their GBP, which is shocking because everyone preaches that you should have UTMs on that button so that you can see correct attribution in Google Analytics, because right now a lot of that traffic gets classified as direct. So there was a shocking number of people that didn't have that. So just nothing that was like, oh my gosh, I'm so shocked that this factor makes so much more of a difference for this vertical. It was more things of like, wow, it's really interesting that they just don't give a crap about this signal. And like, they're really aggressive with local SEO, but they just ignore this one thing for some reason.
Okay. Now, most of these things, including myself, believe that building links or getting your CID mentioned across different verticals helps in ranking. So what is your take? And it's often seen controversial, but I still say that I've seen myself when I link back to the CIDs, I still see the GBP moves. I'm of course not talking about personal injury, but
linking to the GBP.
Yeah, or doing a map embeds or linking back from using those, embedding those CIDs in various things we do, basically a map embed.
A map embed used to be influential. I don't find that a map embed influences anything now. Most of the time when people say, oh, I saw movement when I did the map embed on my site, it was not scientifically tested, where that's the only variable that changed. You know, the people that do that are, I'm embedding a map, I'm optimizing the title tag and the meta description and the H1 heading and the content on, like, they're doing multiple things to that page to make that page better. And then they're like, oh, we got a lift, and it's because we added it. Well, it's not really because you added the map embed, right? So it used to be influential. I don't think that's influential at all anymore. For some reason, I still see a lot of people, especially in the like local SEO subreddit stuff, where people talk about sending links to your GBP,
right,
when you're doing link building will help you. Well, how do you do that? You can't link to a GBP. You can link to an organic search for a business that displays the GBP, but you're linking to a Google search results page. You're not linking to your GBP. It's impossible to link to your GBP. Also, that's a silly idea. The same sort of thing of people are like, if you embed EXIF data in the images before you upload the images to have latitude and longitude, that helps you rank better. No, it doesn't, because Google strips all of that out when the image gets loaded. And people are like, no, but it's in there and it still reads it. And I'm like, I've talked to Google engineers that have no reason to lie to me about this, that laugh at the fact that people still think that that's a factor. So there's a lot of bad advice and kind of SEO zombie myths that just won't die.
But we have seen when we are using Google Map Embed, specifically when we are doing press releases, it helps because the map embed in the press release, the Google Map, have seen making differences specifically for our clients who are not in a very competitive field. So we, day in and day out, if the press release distribution, I have seen good positive movements as well.
Maybe it works for that vertical then. Who knows?
Yeah. As I said, it's not going to work for a very highly competitive verticals, but for other, because some of the time the problem, which specifically with the personal injuries, the personal injury lawyer may be offering 3-4 different services. Maybe he's doing a car accident lawyer and something.
Dog bites, slip and falls, all kinds of stuff.
Now the only thing is that that happens, people don't want to create multiple pages, and we always preach that it's not just, you have to think, it's because people think local SEO is more GBP, and I think local SEO is a mix of organic and local. So you can't just have your local SEO just by building GBP and not having those services pages on your website. It's, as you said, it's a it's a framework which people don't follow. So is there any, so when you came across your study, did you analyze the websites as well? And is there a data which correlates between the websites offerings and the GBP?
So the only thing that the study looked at was the GBP landing page, which for most cases is going to be the homepage of the business. But there are some, you know, multi-location law firms out there that would have a single website with just locations in a bunch of different cities. So in that case, it may look at the location landing page for Denver, but it's not going to go look at the individual service pages and anything else. It was more related to GBP stuff because we were just looking at map pack rankings. But yeah, for sure, having all of those service pages is absolutely vital. And the people that don't do that are those silver bullet people that are just looking for, let me do some hacks on my GBP to get to rank. But then they're not going to get more conversions even if they do rank, because they don't have the answers that customers need on their website.
Right. Now, so let me ask a follow-up question. Did you find any correlation specifically for the personal injury attorneys between GBP optimization quality and actual business outcomes, case inquiries, client acquisition, or is that data too hard to access?
No, yeah, because this wasn't, I mean, we literally ran, I think in the personal injury study, it was like 8 or 9 keywords in the 20 largest cities in the United States and took positions 1 through 20 in each of those markets. If there were 20 in the map pack, we would have no way of knowing business outcomes for anyone that wasn't a client. So we can't include that sort of stuff in the study.
Okay. Let's make to our next segment, which is vertically specific local SEO. Of course, this connects to something been thinking, that the increasing importance of vertical specialization. Of course, you said you don't do vertical specialization. We don't do vertical specialization either. But I know some agencies who just do vertical local SEO specializations. So do you think the future of local SEO agencies vertical is specialization, or can journalist agencies still compete?
I hate to give the standard SEO answer of it depends, but I think it does kind of depend on the vertical.
Right.
You can have a generalist agency that can work with most verticals out there. And honestly, a generalist approach, you can work with any business that needs local SEO because it's all local SEO. The problem is when you work with a vertical that is highly competitive, like personal injury attorneys, the generalist approach is probably not going to get anywhere near the same results you would get if you specialized in doing local SEO for attorneys, because you just aren't going to understand all of the subtleties of that vertical, and you won't know the language and the jargon as well, because you may have one or two clients here and that's it, but you got a bunch of other clients, so you don't really learn. So it also becomes harder to sell to people in those highly advanced verticals because you don't speak the right language and use the right terms. And then when your team gets onto a call, if you happen to get a client and it doesn't sound like they even understand that vertical, people are going to get mad. Like in restaurants, they're going to get mad if you don't know restaurant terminology. But does that mean you can't do SEO for a restaurant? No. If you don't understand medical terms, it's going to be really hard to do local SEO for a doctor, right? So I think for certain verticals, like your money or your life verticals, especially because they have a higher bar that they have to hit to be able to show up, I think specialization really helps. And I'm not saying you have to 100% only work with that type of client, but you need more than one doctor in the last 5 years that you've worked with to be able to do well with doctors. So I think certain verticals, it's really important, others less important, and you can just be a generalist and be fine.
Okay. Coming just one final question to your study, which you did was, did you look at a multi-location law firm versus single location practice? Because I imagine optimizing challenges and of course the rankings and all that will differ for that.
So they were all in there, but we didn't do anything like specifically to denote which one was a multi-location and which one was a single location. The only thing that I can say for sure is like Morgan & Morgan is very famous for being this large, massive, multi-location, humongous behemoth of a personal injury attorney firm. I had to remove them from some of the averages when we were pulling like the average number of links, because they have so many more links than anybody else. We had to, so there are certain things that we had to remove them from because it just skewed, whether it was an average or a mean, it just screwed the numbers up for everyone. So I removed them. But to be fair, I didn't have to remove them when we did the number 1 versus number 10 because they didn't rank number 1. I didn't get far enough. Like the study wasn't designed to go far enough in to diagnose why Morgan & Morgan specifically didn't ever rank number 1 for personal injury attorney or car crash attorney or any of the terms we search for. My suspicion, though, is in looking at the signals that were included, I think they have their own internal SEO team. I could be wrong. They may have an agency partner. Whichever one it is, they clearly care more about the metrics themselves, as in, if we have more links, we're going to win. Not if we get the right kind of links, we're going to win, even if we have fewer links. Or if we have, like, review frequency is a big signal right now. So if we're getting reviews on a more regular basis, more frequently than our competitors, we're going to win. They're not looking at that. They're just like, let's make sure we have more reviews than everybody. So it's the broader approach to metrics in isolation, not what really matters to get us to rank number 1 in this highly competitive vertical.
Okay. So let's talk about the AI and the future of local search. I know we spoke before as well, and you think that you'll be consistently also saying that AI hasn't significantly impacted local search. Local is still pretty isolated. But here's what the data shows. AI overview now appears 40% of the local business queries, and the AI overview expansion has been quite high for a restaurant-related queries. So my question is, are we looking at some data differently, or is the local isolated narrative still holding or not?
Oh, local's still really isolated from AI. When it does show up, a lot of studies have shown that people kind of just don't pay attention to it. They kind of skip it. It's almost like ad blindness. You skip the ads because you don't care. I think people had a lot of bad experiences too, where they'll ask and they do look at AI overviews, and then the AI overviews have some sort of hallucination in there, or something's not quite correct. You know, the verticals that we work with, just AI overviews just aren't really showing. And even the verticals that are showing in local, it's more highly informational stuff. It's not like specifics. And the other thing that people tend to forget is that AI models are not going to remap the world. Your map data, your location data, where you're located in the real world, that still is something you're going to have to pay attention to. Even when AI takes over everything and we have an AI powered approach to the internet, you're still going to have to manage your location data on Google Maps and Apple Maps, because that's how people, as long as people are still driving, are going to be getting their directions to your place of business. And that's how, even when we have self-driving cars, the self-driving cars aren't going to have an AI that just knows where to go. It's going to have to refer to a map. Where's that map data coming from? So I think local will always be isolated to a degree, because your GBP, your Apple Maps profile, your Bing profile, your citations, like local citations, not AI citations, your directory sites will always be important to the AI models forever, realistically, because AI is not going to remap the world. That's why I think it is Google's game to lose when it comes to AI, because Google already has all of that location and maps data, and it already has the built-in user base of everyone going there to search, and the built-in user base of everyone using Google products, and the built-in user base of everyone going to YouTube, where ChatGPT is a new product that you have to train people to use separately from this other suite of products that they've been using for some people their entire lives. So I think it's Google's game to lose more than anyone, but I think elements of local will always be isolated from AI, because AI is just not going to remap the world.
So just for an example, now, if when AI agents will come, which of course they are there. So now when people are going to delegate a task to AI, book me a table at a good Italian restaurant for a Saturday, instead of saying best Italian restaurants near me.
Right.
So which becomes transactional rather than informational, bot to bot. Then now, what happens to the local SEO, which we do right now?
Nothing, because the AI still has to get that information from somewhere.
Okay.
And so where's the information coming from if you don't have the website and the map and the menu online? And the other thing is, we've seen just this week, actually, we've started to see a button, and it only shows up in the US so far, a button that shows up in the map pack that says have AI get prices. So it's showing up for plumbers, it's showing up for beauty salons, it's showing up for oil changes and tire shops. And the process that we're testing it extensively right now, so that we can definitively say here's what happens. And we're really trying to find a client that can have some sort of call tracking, so we can have a recording of the call to hear the questions that the AI is asking. But basically, you click AI, have AI get prices, and already it's a not fun experience, because you have to go through a multimodal form of like 7 or 8 pages of select what service you want, what price are you looking for, where are you located, how far, like all of this stuff you have to fill out. And then you click submit. The AI will go call those businesses and ask the right questions. And then about 10 minutes later, you get an email that says, all right, here are the prices that we got together for you. And so someone that I know tested it with the beauty salon thing, and it called 10. Now, I don't know the parameters of how they tested it, and the person that tested it didn't tell them. So it's a little fuzzy on details, but like, I'm curious, are the 10 businesses that it calls the first 10 businesses listed in the map pack? So like the map pack and then the next 7 in the local finder, or is it randomly picking things? We don't know that yet. Also, what was interesting was it still listed all 10 businesses in the email, but it only gave pricing data for the 3 businesses that gave the pricing data to the AI. How many people out there are going to hang up immediately when it's like, hey, this is Google's AI calling you to get, boom, click, they're hanging up. They're not even listening, which is also why we want to see what the calls sound like, to let business owners know, hey, look, if you're in one of these verticals, that one of the searches that matter to you now has a let AI get prices button. You need to make damn sure you're answering the phone and not hanging up on the AI when it is asking those questions, or your competitor that did answer the question is going to be listed first in the email with pricing, and you're going to be listed lower with no pricing because you didn't give it to the AI. That's going to be a really bad situation. So I think there is still a lot of need for the local SEO agency to provide guidance to their clients and businesses about what's going to happen when you have this agentic approach to search. You're still going to, and you're sure, maybe someday way in the future, we won't even have public facing websites anymore, and we don't have to worry about design, and it just becomes like an RSS feed for the AIs. Okay, cool. But we are nowhere near that right now. We still have public facing websites for a very long time to come. So we still need local SEO.
But do you think LLM optimization is a real thing agencies should invest in, or is it too early?
I think agencies should be investing in testing for LLM optimization. Okay. There are some things that work differently that have been identified already, but a lot of those things are very, very, very spammy. From like August through November, the user base on Gemini grew 5 times faster than the user base on ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is freaking out. The spammy shit that works on ChatGPT, still kind of works on Google, but do you really think that Google's not going to update its AI platform to look for that spammy shit that they're very aware of is working? Of course they're going to fix that, and it's not going to work. The other problem is most of the people that are selling this as a service right now cannot reliably reproduce results. 50% of the time it might work, 50% it might not. But they're not telling their clients that. They're telling their clients, we can get you to show up. Okay, how are you proving that? Because also it is scientifically impossible to track how you show up in AI search results. Right. Because you ask ChatGPT the same question 5 times, you get 5 different answers. So your rank tracker for AI is going to ask one question and one question only and get that one answer. But what about the 5 iterations? Or what about the personalization that you get because of your past history with ChatGPT that I don't have? Or what about all of the other things with hallucinations? Like, there's so many factors out there that it is scientifically impossible to track how you show up in LLMs. Can you do it as like a ridiculously 100,000 mile high level overview of directionality? Sure. But to tell clients I can get you to show up in AI reliably is a lie at this point in time. And if clients are paying for it, at best, they're paying for that agency to test things with their website, which maybe you're fine with. But yeah, I think everybody should be testing it to see, do you see some directional changes? But as far as selling it as a separate service from SEO right now, I think it's very short-sighted and opportunistic and not in anyone's best interest.
Okay, we just ran out of time, so I'll just ask 2 quick questions. Sorry about that. Now, so for multi-location business, do you recommend linking each GBP to a location-specific landing page or to the main website with location parameters? I know you have talked about this before, but
100% single website with multi-locations. You should have the GBP website button linked to the location landing page for that location, not the homepage, for sure.
Right. Now let's get, so you just a last question. You talked about tools, and you have mentioned before Place Scout as one of your best local SEO tool. You've got the SEMrush course that, of course, you've done. What does Search Lab actual tech stack looks like for managing local SEO campaigns?
Oh wow. Okay, we use Place Scout, obviously, the best tool. It'd be crazy not to use it. We use Whitespark. We use Bright Local.
Yes.
We use SEMrush. We use Ahrefs. We've got Screaming Frog and things like that. But as far as like software as a service type things, that's probably the tech stack for the local SEO side of things.
Any tool which you have developed internally or not?
Yeah, we're right now we are, I don't know, I'd have to check in, probably 40 to 50% through creating our own kind of GBP tool to do posts and like basically creating a tool for our team as an interface for using the API to do things. So we're working on that.
Okay.
We've got a lot of like AI automations and things like that, like I'm sure everybody else does too.
Right. All right, Greg, this was a fantastic conversation, of course, practical, honest, and packed with real insights. And thank you for giving more than an hour to this conversation.
Oh, yeah, happy to. I can talk about this stuff all day.
I know. Say, the SEO nerds, that's what we all do.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much once again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and for everyone's listening, we'll link to the great works and the videos and the studies in the show notes before. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with anyone working on a local SEO or agency growth. Until next time, keep testing, keep learning, and keep focusing on what actually works. Thank you.